live, but I have no idea if we are.
Well,
I'm going to check some of my um, social media streams. I am going to, let's see. I can't see if anyone's joined here. Oh, there we are. We're live. Hello, Dr. Thomas Hebden.
hello, Dr. Phillips. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm excited to chat with you tonight about our research.
Likewise, likewise. We always have a good time anytime we get together, but in particular, we have a good time talking about our research as well.
That is the truth.
Yeah. Well, I see that we have one person logged in, and maybe we wait just a little bit.
Welcome. Thank you for joining.
We'll see if we get anyone else joining us. Megan is joining us from Utah tonight, not in Austin, Texas. How's the weather in Utah?
It's chilly, but Texas was cold when I left. It was in the 50s,
Yeah.
and we're hanging out in Utah in the 50s too. Are you guys still there, or is it warming up again?
It's warming. I'm like, have I been outside all day today? Very little. And it was lovely. It was very mild, probably in the 70s.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
that's nice. I'll be happy to come home to 70s weather
Definitely.
in a few days.
Definitely. Well, I wonder if we go ahead and introduce the project.
Absolutely. That sounds great.
All right. Would you like to start, or should I?
You start and then I'll follow. How's that sound?
All right. Well, how about we start with introducing ourselves? So I'm Carolyn Phillips. I am a nursing scientist, and the majority of my research at this point has looked at clinician well-being, particularly oncology nurses, and how they cope with complex emotions that accompany their caregiving work. And Dr. Hebden, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So I am also a nursing scientist, and most of my work has focused on the supportive care needs of family caregivers. I started out, Dr. Phillips and I have a kinship with oncology, and I started out looking at cancer survivorship and cancer caregivers, and then I've slowly moved towards looking at millennial caregivers because they're a growing population that will be taking a lot of the caregiving roles as we continue to have a growing aging population.
Yeah, absolutely. And so both Dr. Hebden and I are new assistant professors at UT Austin. And UT has this great platform that they offer to us to help students, faculty, staff, anyone raise money for projects. And so we jumped onto this opportunity to do a horn raiser, so hook 'em horns. And I always get it wrong. And so we're doing a HornRaiser project to combine our dual interests, and we're looking at a new area that has very little research at this point. And so we're looking at nurses who carry the dual role as nursing caregivers, but also family caregivers. And we're specifically interested in the financial implication that it has on them and their families, and also the emotional load and toll that they carry with this dual role. We're aiming to raise $20,000 in just 30 days. And I don't know, Dr. Hebden, do you want to kind of explain what we will be using that money for?
Yeah, I'd love to. So for our research project, we're hoping to look at the experiences of these caregivers in two different ways. So both Dr. Phillips and I would probably frame ourselves as qualitative researchers. So we really care about people's stories, and we feel like we can better meet people's needs if we understand exactly what those needs are. And I feel like the best way to learn that is through stories. So one part of the research will be interviewing caregivers, nurses who are family caregivers. And then the other part will be collecting online surveys from these nurses as well. And so nurses and family caregivers and people who are doing both are limited in their time. And so we really want to honor their time and contributions to our studies. So we will be providing gift cards as incentives for their participation in our work. We will be doing data analysis to understand what those stories mean collectively, and then to take the data from the surveys to see how it goes along with the stories that were being told. And so that takes both time and money. And then we are really excited because as new professors, we have an opportunity to mentor students. And we have a great group of students who are interdisciplinary. They come from a lot of different departments. They come from healthcare-based training programs. And we have one student who's from the English program. And we're really excited to be able to fund their work. And so that would be another aspect of this fundraising, would be to support the students who help us. And then finally, really one of the most important things about doing research is making sure that it gets spread. So we want to be able to share our findings, and we want to be able to share them broadly. So we're hoping to do community events where we can share them with nurses within our Austin community, and then to share it at a larger level with conferences. And so we are hoping to look at both the academic community and then the broader nursing community to make sure that this information is shared with lots of different stakeholders that can hopefully contribute to some changes for these important nurses who are caregivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Yeah, and I think that and part of the reason why we're trying to raise this initial money, is to fund the pilot studies. And what's difficult is that when this is a new area where there's not a lot of research, it's hard to justify getting research dollars. And so what this initial pilot money will help us do is justify our instinct. We have very strong instincts that this is a population that needs to be served, that needs to be understood more, and needs to have interventions developed to help them. But we need some baseline data to help us justify that before we can start applying for larger grants in the future. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, for both Dr. Phillips and I, the work we do has personal connections to our own stories. So both of us have been oncology professional caregivers, worked in cancer treatment, and then we've both had the experience as family caregivers. So we've had that dual role. And like Dr. Phillips said, our instincts are guiding this research because we know what it's like to try to balance those two roles. And we know the hard choices that people have to make between, providing care to their family, friends, or other loved ones, and then, staying committed to the career that they've chosen. And sometimes you can't do both. And sometimes you try to do both and you get burned out. And so we're really excited to explore this more fully with nurses. And we feel like the timing is right because of COVID. I mean, this is always needed to be done. So, it should have been done years ago. But we know that nurses and caregivers have been unduly burdened during the COVID-19 pandemic. And so we feel like, we need to be doing this research now.
Absolutely. And in addition to like the research level, the community level, one thing that Dr. Hebden has already started working on is impacting the policy level, and how we, in this research, is needed for us to be able to impact policy, to help caregivers be paid, and all of those aspects that help them balance those dual roles or make the difficult decisions that oftentimes they have to make. And I know that Dr. Hebden, you've experienced these challenges more so than I have. And I don't know if you feel comfortable talking about that at all and some of the challenging decisions you've had to make by being in that dual role.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a nurse now for 17 years. It feels like a really long time. And I've been a caregiver for my daughter for 10 of those years. So she, when she was 1, was diagnosed with a rare and serious, well, she was diagnosed with a seizure disorder. It took us several years to figure out just where that was coming from, which was a rare and serious genetic disease. And so my career development has been really circuitous. So I've had to leave work. I don't know how many times when my daughter has had an uptick in seizure activity, and we've been in and out of the hospital. Both Dr. Phillips and I are advanced practice nurses. And so it can be hard. We have obligations to our patients, which is really, really important. And it can be hard when, you have a last minute change in health status for the person that you're providing care for at home, that it just doesn't end up being a very flexible work environment. And so I've been working for maybe since 2011 when I started my DNP degree to get to a point with my education and career where I truly could actually balance my professional role as a nurse and my caregiving role, because at the end of the day, I am so appreciative of my daughter and the things that I've learned, and the experiences I've had as a caregiver. But it's been hard too. And there have been a lot of sacrifices, both monetarily and with my professional trajectory. It's just been lengthened out because of those choices that I've had to make along the way. But I imagine that there are many other nurses who are family caregivers who are out there walking similar journeys. And we're really hoping to understand, what that's like, not just for me, and not just for Dr. Phillips, but for the broader nursing community who are also working as family caregivers.
Absolutely. Like, I can think of just so many people, so many of my colleagues who I know who have balanced this role. A classmate of mine who we'll be interviewing next week, who has balanced that role of caring for her father who had a neurologic disorder. And there are so many stories of these instances, and we really don't know much, and we don't really have many resources to help them balance their needs. And so I'm really looking forward to diving into this research with you. And I think that if any of you listening have any desire to help support us, we are raising money. We're raising $20,000 for this project that will help pay for each stage of the research, as well as help us pay UT undergraduate and graduate students to work on our project. As Dr. Hebden said, we have 6 students, I think, from across the UT campus working with us right now, all for free,
Yes.
all out of the goodness of their hearts and because they want research experience. And so that's wonderful, but we'd also like to pay them for their work. And so that's what we're raising money for. I have not checked. I just put the link to the HornRaiser campaign in the chat area. And I haven't looked at our numbers, but prior to starting this call or this Facebook Live, we were at 700, I believe, because of some very generous donations. Now, I would like to challenge us that by the end of tomorrow, we get to 5,000. So that is going to be a lot of work. About 15 minutes before we started, we said, well, let's do 1,000. But then we're like, no, let's do 5,000 by the end of tomorrow. Yes. What we read from the HornRaiser campaign people who helped us set this up was that the most successful campaigns get to 33% of their goal by the second day. And so that would be close to 33%. It would be a little shy of that, but it would be a really good start to help us getting us there. And 5,000 would allow us to do the first phase of this research project. For sure, we would probably be able to do the interviews and analyze that data.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes, I know for me, this is a hard time of year, and we acknowledge that it can start to get expensive as we go into the holidays, and that completely makes sense. And so sometimes I worry because I can't do much that, it's not worth it. But I can tell you, for us, every donation to our project means so much to us and to this important work that we're doing. And so we're extremely appreciative of the people who have donated so far, of their generosity and their time to go look at our project. And we're very appreciative of all of you who are joining us right now. So thank you.
Absolutely. And we have set amounts that you could just click on, but you could also choose your own amount. So if $5 is what you can do, or $2 is what you can do, no problem. Every little bit helps. We just reach out to lots and lots of people and get lots and lots of $2 and $5
Yes.
donations. And that way we can all do it together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, well, I think this has been lovely for our first ever Facebook Live.
Yay.
We did it. And let's see. So we will be on next week at actually 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to do it a little bit different time, 4 o'clock, with one of my colleagues that I met in the PhD program at UT, who is a nurse and a family caregiver. And she's going to give us some insight as well into her experience. And then I think the week after Thanksgiving, so we'll skip Thanksgiving week, but then the week after Thanksgiving, both Dr. Hebden and I both do art as part of our expression of caregiving. And so we are going to share some of our art that we have done. Dr. Hebden's written poetry and does a lot of other artistic endeavors. And then I have a song that I've co-written as part of my healing process during my caregiving journey. And so we're going to share that work with you all. And then we'll be close to wrapping up this campaign. 30 days, $20,000. Yikes.
Do it. Like a horns.
Like a horns. All right, you all. Thank you for joining us. And
Yes.
Stephanie, I see you on there. Thank you so much. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.